Hello and thanks for joining us again on Panasonic Dimensions, a 3D filmmaking contest like never before. Up ahead on today's show, we'll see 7 teams from very enterprising and distinctive film schools across the country competing for the top prize, which in this case is a trip to Panasonic's Hollywood lab. Only one team will make it, so this will be a tough call for our expert jury members who happen to be such industry stalwarts as Karan Johar, Rajkumar Hirani and Nikhil Advani. To add another dimension, pun intended, is that each of these teams will shoot their movies using the Panasonic 3D camcorders. That's brand new technology. So this won't be just a test of narrative skill and the craft of filmmaking. It will also test how quickly the teams can understand and work with these cutting-edge 3D cameras. This new camera from Panasonic records full high-definition video with 2 integrated lenses, lending what's technically known as stereoscopic vision. We commonly recognize this as fascinating, eye-popping 3D. To cut to the chase then, let's get on location in Lonavala, Maharashtra, where the teams have been called in for a 4-day workshop. A 1.5-hour drive away from Mumbai at the tranquil Upper Deck Resort in Lonavala is where it all starts. The teams get through the formalities and gather their wits for the intense contest ahead. There is a buzz about the workshop, which is to be led by veteran cinematographer and digital media expert from Hollywood, Barry Braverman. With more than 30 years in the business, Barry Braverman has worked his magic with his camera work on Hollywood films and documentaries for the National Geographic, to name a few. He's been taking workshops on digital media and 3D technology all over the world. This will be his first workshop in India. Barry Braverman there, ace cameraman, and he'll be putting those teams to the test. With a body of work like his, he won't be easy to please. Are the teams up to it? How do they work together? What are they thinking? It's time we got to know them up close. First up, LV Prasad, Chennai. Solid, serious and methodical. Next, Asian Academy of Film and Television, Delhi. Young, energetic and full of ideas. Third on our list, Chennai Film Industrial School, the dark horses of the competition, hardworking and innovative. Followed by the iconic FTII Pune, the anticipated frontrunners from the premier film school in the country. Next, NDTV Media Institute, Delhi, dynamic, clear thinking and focused. Number 6 on the list, Symbiosis Institute of Media and Communications, Pune, young, collaborative and talented. And last but not least, Satyajit Ray Film and Television Institute, Kolkata, clear-minded and very talented. And understandably, they have the great Satyajit Ray as inspiration.
You have to learn to see in a whole new way. When you go to 3D, you have to forget about
To get the teams warmed up, Barry starts with the basics.
Images can tell compelling stories. In 3D,
he talks about the craft of storytelling in films before he takes them through the relatively complex techniques of shooting with the 3D camera.
The storytelling in 3D is quite a bit different. I tell my students that they have to forget about 90% of what they know. Everything they've learned in film school and spent all that money to go to film school, now they have to forget about it.
So you'll find filmmakers like...
Every team is all ears. Nothing is to be missed.
But you put it in front of an audience, whoa man, this is amazing. So that's...
Soon it's time for the teams to be handed out their Panasonic 3D cameras.
It's a very, very good opportunity which we're getting.
I realized that out of these many million people in India, we are going to be a handful who have started it off with 3D.
Being a part of this workshop is not only a learning experience, but the fact that you're getting to meet some of the best students from India actually.
You can follow focus, but remember in 3D, nothing's really out of focus.
Barry Braverman is the guru. He knows every bit.
He makes 3D sound fun when
Yeah,
it's kind of tough.
His best skill is most probably to tell you you're doing something wrong in a
By not
in the-
telling you
yeah,
that you're doing something wrong. Very encouragingly, he'll
so
tell you
he
that you're
encourages
wrong.
you to make mistakes so that you realize.
My suggestion, I know it's shooting experience. In general, use the preset for the exterior.
Barry's an extremely friendly guy, very communicative, very good at communicating. He's a good teacher.
Little by little, the teams realize that handling these cameras is every bit a new experience and extremely challenging. Frame composition, for instance, on a 3D camera needs to be looked at in a very different light, quite literally. Extreme close-ups and over-the-shoulder shots need to be avoided, while backgrounds need to be muted. Also, bringing objects close to the lens can be jarring for the viewer, so that is a no-no. Well, it goes without saying that each team will try to outperform the other, which begins with outlearning the other. As the workshop begins, it's not just intelligence but presence of mind that comes into play. Now that the teams have their tools, they're all set to begin. And just so you know, this is sophisticated equipment, not toys that they're dealing with. The Panasonic 3D camera is a notch above the conventional 3D camera, which is much larger and heavier. This 3D camera, for instance, is a lot lighter at 2.4 kilograms, but it offers the same portability and mobility as a conventional 2D camera. So that's really light, really convenient to use. So stay with us for more on this 3D filmmaking contest on Panasonic Dimensions. Conventional rig-type 3D cameras are large and heavy. These rigs support two cameras mounted on one frame. They also require a separate recording system and a power supply unit. Owing to the bulkiness and tedious handling, the kind of scenes that can be shot with a rig-type 3D camera are limited and make the production process very expensive.
Action! Action! Cut!
The Panasonic AG3D A1 camera simultaneously records two separate streams of full HD footage on its two memory cards. The memory cards are resistant to extreme temperatures. They can operate between -25 to 85 degrees centigrade. The two separate recordings are then overlaid in post-production to create 3D video. Now that's what I call cutting edge. Lighter but fully loaded. Hello again and welcome back to Panasonic Dimensions. 7 teams from film schools across the country have gathered at the Upper Deck Resort in Lonavala, Maharashtra. They've been handed out their 3D cameras, prepped on the fundamentals, and are now about to try them out for themselves. This will be their first shot at using the 3D cameras hands-on. What no one can tell you is if they're excited or just plain nervous.
यार उसमें एल और आर पे कितना
The first task of actually, they told us to make a 3-shot type sequence using the 3D camera, and then we had to figure out the convergence the convergence point and how that actually works. So that was a little challenging.
It's formatting, man. हो रहा है. Wait, तो हो रहा है अभी. हाँ, मैंने exactly वही सोचा था कि.
He will change the position. Listen, first shot is here.
Little by little, the teams realize that handling these cameras is every bit a new experience and extremely challenging.
We are actually all of us struggling because there are two things. One is this is a completely new camera with two lenses. We're trying to figure out how to shoot and what it will look like.
It's basically an inspiration than a competition. So we've come here to gain that inspiration so that it will be helpful for the future.
Barry reviews the team's first task at 3D filming. He seems to be pleasantly surprised.
These folks, they seem very engaged, and they seem to be picking it up pretty quickly. Just looking at the first exercises, usually they're unwatchable. And this time I thought there were quite a few that actually I got a good laugh out of, a couple of them. They're clearly working, and they're thinking a lot about some of the concepts we talked about this morning.
We're realizing that there are a lot of things that you need to take care of. I mean, I won't really say that that's a problem with the medium, but it's just that we need to change the way of storytelling to incorporate this medium.
The teams realize that they will have to quickly unlearn some basics of standard 2D filmmaking. The ones who adapt best to the 3D technology to create a compelling production will go on to win the contest.
Filmmaking is definitely a tough nut to crack. It's a serious business. It's not rocket science, but it's the second most difficult profession in the world.
And now the time for preparation is over. But before the teams get the green light to start filming, they must pitch their film story to Barry Braverman and the film industry professionals selected as mentors. Each team will then be assigned a mentor from the industry. This mentor will also act as a creative producer who will call the shots on budgets and schedule. Before they start, each team also has one last bit of training left. Let's watch. The teams have been through the grind of tossing around ideas for their respective films, and these have not been easily agreed upon. There have been heated debates, but each team is gradually able to build one coherent idea. They now must take a leap of faith and present their concepts to some very hard-nosed industry professionals.
I want to hear a story I haven't heard before, appeals to me, and that would appeal to audiences. I'm looking for the filmmaker to have a clear idea what their story is, and so that's why I'm asking them to come in with their poster. I'm asking them to come in with a very clearly defined log line. That's the one sentence that describes their story.
Somewhat more drive, strange.
The misbehavior is that he is.
The ideas of each team are as diverse as they are ambitious.
Basically, our project is called Rang Manch, and I think it would be a very interesting concept to see Indian dances in 3D.
Where the protagonist of the film has shares a mute relationship with the lead.
It's a very formal professional relationship. So, even if you're awed by a person, you work for each other, but you don't talk unless there's a need.
My team is an extremely young team. I think we're the youngest team in everyone. But the concepts that they've come up with, they've been very open to ideas.
One sheep that climbs up the road. Our film is called Mirage. It's about a boy in a desert village feels this call from his soul to go and join the gypsies, and it's about the conflict that arises in his life because of this call.
The good part of my team is they're all come from different aspirations from their college. Everyone has something of their own field which they want to specialize in. I think that's the benefit of this.
It's a documentary-based movie. Their eternal dance with God.
Then my query is that why would you not have this explanation?
It'll be a visual poem on Vrindavan, and that's what our actual story is all about.
I think the best thing about my team, the greatest merit about them is that they are very eager to learn, very sincere and very hardworking. They know that they are here to tell a story, and for me, I think that is the best thing, that is the best virtue a filmmaker can have.
Our concept is that of an old, out-of-work clown, and he remembers an incident from when he was younger, in his days, when he had fallen in love with a tightrope walker.
My team is a really smart team because I'm lucky to have a good balance of cinematography, of direction, of editing, of sound. So we're very technically well balanced.
No nightmare would ever come close to what awaits us downstairs.
We planned on shooting in a carnival. The concept is just of a man going to the carnival, and this man has some problems with him and how he eventually grows out of it.
Yeah, how are you going to represent that? Will you be showing him being taunted?
They are media students, they are not professionals, they are not FTII students or SRFTI students, but they have a lot of interest in them to learn, a lot of zeal in them to learn.
Our title is Goli Attam, so it's a Kancheka game, and it's about this girl.
Her passion for the game and how she will go about
Winning her friends back.
winning her friends back, winning her marbles back.
By playing a game of marbles with the team itself.
My team is open to new ideas and they don't have any preset notions about themselves or anybody else. They are willing to take advice from people who have the experience. I think that is their biggest strength.
The concept is about Kalaripai. We believe that 3D technology can be extensively used in this promotional video. So that's about our concept.
I think they're more conventional and they like to stick to basics, which in a way is a blessing in disguise. I feel that they're not trying to complicate things too much.
So the 3D filmmaking contest has well and truly begun, but for each team, this is only the start of an uphill climb. The approved projects are in hand. The teams are now heading back to their colleges to chalk out elaborate plans and work on the logistics of their productions. When we see you next week, the plot will thicken as the teams will work hard to put together something very few in the industry have actually tried. Will they be able to put everything they've learnt to use, or will they buckle under pressure? The contest will unravel next week